Hey, and welcome back to another episode. Imagine building a wildly successful business, hitting every financial target, and still waking up with a quiet emptiness inside. That's exactly where our guest found himself, and so many other high-achieving entrepreneurs quietly land. Harland Merriam is a real estate investor, coach, pastor, and trusted guide for entrepreneurs. With decades of experience in ministry, the military, and business, Harland knows the tension between outward success and the inner rest. He also knows the power of walking that journey with a community. Lastly, Harland is the author of the powerful new business fable, Profit Seeks Purpose, and he joins us today to show us how we can make money without losing your soul. So Harland, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here. Thank you very much, Tim.
Glad you were able to be here as well. We all just heard your incredible bio and your intro, but why don't you tell us just a little bit more about yourself from your own perspective?
My wife would say I'm a fascinating person here. I've been in ministry for 50 some years, been an entrepreneur most of that time as well. And a good bit of my ministry has been in the military as a chaplain, Army chaplain. One of the things I do though, Tim, is I hybridize daylilies. I cross-pollinate daylilies and create new species of them. And the daylilies are just getting ready to bloom. So I'm kind of excited about that right now too.
So the daylilies, tell me a little bit more about the daylilies. What got you into that?
A number of things. My wife, Barbara's dad, grew daylilies, and I saw that. We actually stole a daylily. I'm sorry, I might get arrested for this, but we stole a daylily out of the Blue Ridge Mountains on our way to get married and have been growing daylilies ever since. Started hybridizing when I retired from the military and had time to put into it. So 20 years now. In fact, one of the ones that I really like that I hybridize is just blooming today for the first time this year.
So I have no idea what a daylily is. So why don't you tell me? Because I know what roses are and everything else, but a daylily, I'm not
if you're
sure.
up in Connecticut and you drive through, you'll see them. They're called ditch lilies up there.
Okay.
They got away from the farms that brought them over from Europe and just have spread. They spread really well, but it's a lily-looking flower. Limited days of bloom during the year, and some of us just get excited about them.
Okay, no, that's good. Everybody has their thing, and I love that. So at another property, I had some knockout rose bushes that were there.
Yes.
And those got about, 6 to 12 feet wide, about 6 feet tall, beautiful, but it's constant pruning, constant uptake. So hopefully daylilies are less maintenance than that.
A lot less maintenance except for the weeds that grow up with them. So I grow weeds a lot better than I do the daylilies.
Well, that's good. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your military background as a chaplain, coming from the Army myself? Chaplains always have a special place in my heart. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about that, if you don't mind?
Yeah, I was coming through college in the 70s, so Vietnam War was on. I was in ROTC partly to not be drafted, partly being a Boy Scout and that, partly as patriotic as well. I really enjoyed that. Stepped into leadership in my senior year, was commissioned in the Signal Corps actually out of Stetson University, but got a deferment to go to graduate school and the Army allowed me to go to seminary of all things and went to Princeton Seminary. And branch transferred then into the chaplain corps after graduating. I served primarily in the Army Reserve, 32 years total. The last years were some of the most exciting. I enjoyed every aspect of it. Wonderful artillery battalion that broke me in at Fort Bragg. 8-inch self-propelled. They are big.
Yes, they are.
They threw me in the water to kind of baptize me as their chaplain. It was a fun experience there. But over the years, I got called back after 9/11 to train chaplains and chaplain assistants that were getting called up from the Guard and the Reserve, primarily in the center part of the country. So I spent 2 years helping make sure they were ready, their commanders were ready, and they could go. Really enjoyed the chaplaincy. It's a rich experience.
And for people who don't know, what a chaplaincy is, can you just kind of describe it in your own words? What is it?
We're there to support the commander's religious, spiritual aspects of his leadership to provide, if we can, or provide for the religious needs of the members of the unit. So I'm a Protestant. I couldn't do Mass, but I could make sure Catholic priests or lay Eucharistic ministers would get in to serve them. I'm not Muslim, but I could help the commander understand unique aspects of diet or dress for the Muslim members of the unit. And then I'm there when a death occurs, awful, major injuries, as either family members or unit members need a listening ear, somebody to care, pray with. And then I'll lead services myself as a Protestant chaplain.
So that's an amazing background. And for folks listening to this and don't know exactly what a chaplain is, you described it to the T. Especially, you're a huge morale booster as well. Like if we're out training, we're out doing stuff, or we're on the battlefield, you see the chaplain. Everyone kind of gravitates towards the chaplain at any given time. It was like, hey, what's going on? Can you pray for me? And it's always a huge morale lift for that. So thank you for what you've done over the last 30 plus years and 50 years in the ministry.
Yeah. And recently I've stepped onto a university campus, which is the same age group, 18, 19, 20-year-olds, as an interim university chaplain here at Staton University right now.
How did you weave business in between, managing your chaplaincy, managing your ministry, and then you got into business? How did you manage that?
I came into it through my grandfather and my father. They were both professionals like I was, but they did real estate along with being a doctor or being a college professor. And I did it along with being a pastor and a chaplain. I just saw real estate as a great way to both serve people that needed good, affordable housing, but also to build wealth personally. And when I call it repurposed 15 years ago, I really focused on that and went into multifamily, so apartment investing, and 28-unit apartment complex that a partner and I owned and operated with the help of some investors. I call it a workplace ministry now, Tim. And that's what got me thinking. And ultimately, this book comes out of that, the two coming together, faith and business and life. Oftentimes we keep them separate, but the two coming together.
Yeah. So your book, Purpose Seeks Profit.
Yeah. The other way around there.
Profit seeks purpose. Yes. So
they can work from both directions. You're right. But it's profit seeks purpose. Most of us pursue profit first, don't we? Pursue success first. Just drive for it. But ultimately we get to a place where, why am I doing this?
Yes.
And that's when we pause enough to ask that question. Is there a purpose behind what I'm doing?
I know you said you got into it from your dad and your granddad, but the real estate for, like, let's say 128 apartment complex unit, like what made you think, yeah, this is the real estate I want to get into versus single family homes?
I did some single family. It's not a matter of advancing to apartments. It's that I wanted to serve more people. I guess I see what I do wherever I am as serving people. And I could serve 128 households in one 6-acre piece of land versus having 128 houses spread out all over the place. So it allowed us to create community, build a culture there. This was in Tallahassee. Just it made sense. When you run the numbers, and it makes sense when you think about it as ministry.
How did you come up with the key elements of your book?
About a year ago, I really enjoy relationships and groups of people. And so I formed a mastermind a year ago of very successful entrepreneurs here in Central Florida, many in real estate. And we've formed not just to support each other, encourage each other, get resources for our business, but also to align our faith with our business and our life. And it was an experiment. Can we actually do that? Do those two actually fit together? And a year ago, we had a retreat, 8 of us, and I'm coming back on a commuter rail from that retreat back home. And I say, boy, there are more people that they could benefit if they could get something like this in their life. How can I make that possible? And I realized, as one person is really hard, but if I wrote a book and told the story, maybe they could realize, walk along with the characters in the story and realize this is me. And I'm feeling like they're feeling. What can I do about it? And they can see that example walking alongside them in the story.
So you said there's the intertwining of faith and business, and we often keep it separate. And I've experienced that as well. What's the advantage to keeping them intertwined?
because we are intertwined. That's how I see it. I realized with 18, 19, 20-year-olds now on campus that some of them are deconstructing some of that intertwining in their life. And many of us have deconstructed it through the years. I think the military just taught me it doesn't have to be. I mean, I wore the uniform like everybody else. I was the chaplain in the unit. They are together. The Army, you and I know there's physical, really important values, mental ones, and many others, but spiritual is in there in our doctrine that's who we are. We'll shape that all different ways. I was with 50 Muslims breaking Ramadan last week. I'll be next week with Jewish students celebrating Passover. We express it a number of different ways, but it's a real part of life. It gives us values. It gives us some deep things that will help us, particularly when the decision crises come up, that we have a solid foundation underneath.
Yeah, I love that crises and that solid foundation. So when people are seeking purpose, what would your advice be for somebody who's like, you know what, I've chased the money, I've chased the profit. Now I want to really go after purpose and make my life really more meaningful. What would your advice be?
Good question. And I'm going to break it into two things here. One is stop, pause, reflect personally. Just take a breath and get in touch with that question that's underneath there. It's an invitation to go deeper. And until you kind of stop and pause, you're just going to keep going. But you pause, then you're open. For me, maybe this isn't for everybody, but for me, the second step would be to gather some, I'd call them peers, people that are like you, perhaps, have the same values you do, and begin to get together with them and create a space where you can be honest with each other, where you can help each other with your business, with your family life, and with your faith in that as well. That's what I do. I facilitate groups of people that do that.
It's this inner circle, this mastermind, if you will, of folks coming together. What have you seen the difference in folks that have it and folks that don't?
I was talking with a group of people last night, and these were not entrepreneurs, but I just see it with entrepreneurs, with business leaders, whatever. Even I've seen it in the military. There's a lot of loneliness out there. There's a lot of, I got to do everything myself, and where is anybody else for me? We know that. The general's the loneliest person in our unit, or the colonel or the captain, whatever it is, because they've got all the responsibility, and who do they have to talk to? Who do they have that's there for them? That's really where I learned how to do this back in the last division that I served. The chief of staff brought together some of the senior leaders and said, let's go out to breakfast once a week. We're not in a staff meeting, and just get to know each other better and be there for each other. At staff meeting, we've got to do other things, but here we can get deeper with each other and be there for each other. And boy, did that make a difference in that unit. Taught me about that. So yeah, I would say first pause and allow that question. Why am I doing this? Who am I becoming while I do this? Allow that question to be an invitation to go deeper, and then get some people to do that with. Quit trying to do it yourself.
So for folks out there listening to this and there's like, you know what, Harland, I got trust issues. I've been burned. You're asking me to go out on a comfort zone that I'm really not comfortable with. How do I start to do that?
Well, I'm going to be honest here. Not every group is a good group to be in. There are some masterminds, some circles out there that are not the place to be, and get out of them as soon as you can. Trust is a really important piece. So I would find the right people. Maybe you got to go find them yourself. There are a number of them out there that are well done around the country, around the world. Build that trust, set those boundaries up, have some guidelines for how we're going to be. One of those is the old Las Vegas thing. Whatever we do in Las Vegas stays there. Well, that's one of the ground rules for being in a group. Whatever we talk about here stays here, and just committed to that. Another is to speak for yourself in the group, and just honor each other in the group. We're here to really help the other people in the group. And when we do that, they're going to be helping us too. So, but you're right. You can get burned. All of us have been.
So you used an important word, honor. I don't think people really know what that means, to honor somebody else, especially in today's society where everything is either so self-centered, so self-centric. What does it mean to honor somebody else? What
Yeah,
does
it's
that look
hard.
like?
Democrats, Republicans honoring each other. I was sitting with Hindu, Jewish, Roman Catholic, agnostics, atheists, Protestants the other night, 12 of us in a circle. And we just made a commitment to listen more than we speak, to seek to understand more than to argue. Those two are probably key pieces of honoring. I'm going to listen to you. You've got an ear here. I'll listen and I'll seek to understand. I'm not here to debate you. I'm here to get to know you better and understand where you're coming from. I think what was Stephen Covey that put that as one of the 7 habits. Seek to understand before being understood. Really
Absolutely.
key. I think that's one of the keys to honoring.
Absolutely. And I love that part because I always say I always try to seek understanding first before anything else. And I think the world would be a better place if we did that, especially if we form an inner circle or a mastermind. For people who are just starting out, let's say they're in the early 20s and early 30s, and they're like, you know what? I want to get into business. How do I find a mentor, or who should I latch on to say, hey, this is the help me to grow the right way down the right path?
Yeah, and you speak about something that's a little different than masterminding. That's a mentor. And boy, when you're younger, a mentor, boy, I've had some good mentors. Wow. They've been down the road already. And that really is helpful. Yeah. How do you find a mentor? You observe. You see perhaps where you want to be. You are aware of the wisdom and the solid values that they are living. I think the best way to seek a mentor is not to say, would you be my mentor, but to let them know how much they mean to you. Seek them out, not to get them to do something for you, but just seek them out and thank them for who they are and what you see. And my guess is that would lead to a relationship where they might agree, yeah, I'll make that a little bit more intentional in there.
Yeah.
And I've had some mentors that have sought me out. I wouldn't have gotten as far as I did in the military without some really strong mentors just saying, you need to buckle down here and do this and do that to keep going here. We need you.
And I bring that up because folks watching this, there's going to be a lot of early folks watching it and a lot of C-suite folks watching it. So they're going to resonate with the mastermind group. And yeah, I'm lonely. I got no one to complain to. I got no one to bounce ideas off of. Then you got the younger folks going, okay, that'd be great, but none of my peers know anything and neither do I. So where do I start? Right?
Yeah, both are important, aren't they? They both are important. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's all about the human connection.
It really is. I often, with young couples wanting to get married, would say, seek out 2 different couples to connect with. One is your peer, because you'll understand each other in that. And the other is somebody that's been at this for 10 or 20 years, or maybe 30 or 40 years. And you can go be with them too. And they've got this wisdom and they've worked through some things that that your peers just aren't going to be able to help you with. Both are needed, I think, in life.
When you jump it back to the investment property stuff, did you have a mastermind group when you started that out, or did you just start doing that and then later on be like, you know what, I think I need to have a group?
I was in a mastermind group when I started it. We made sure, and I only get into these with a partnership as well. So I made sure that the partners were just solid with each other because we're going to be in the weeds doing it. But I had a mastermind group in addition to that weren't in that particular project, but were there to support me. Boy, we had some hard times. We bought it just before COVID hit. Whoa. And then to share some connections with me. That's one of the things a mastermind can do. They've got a connection. I don't know who that is, and they can introduce me to them. That happened. And then we were just all learning. They were in process of learning. I was learning and learning together there. Hearing their stories gave me confidence that I could make it through my story as well.
That's really powerful about how hearing somebody else's struggle and getting through it can help you get through your struggle, knowing that if you did it, I could do it too, right?
There you go.
So as you're looking for this group, were there any rules that you set for yourself of these are the types of folks I want to surround myself with? And if so, how did you come up with those rules or those boundaries?
Yeah, I'm facilitating them, so I've got a lot more control than others that are finding the groups. And I did set that. I've made some mistakes through the years of some people being in the group that it really wasn't good for them and wasn't for the group. And just like hire fast and fire fast is an important part in business, same in a mastermind group, that either the group determines that or the group leader, the facilitator would say, and have that hard conversation saying, this just isn't working out for us or for you. Maybe there's a better place for you. Let's figure that out together. That's a piece. Just setting those ground rules, that confidentiality ground rule, that you are committing to be here. When you're not here, you're robbing the other members of the group of your presence. If you're not going to show up regularly, even more than regularly, this probably isn't the place for you, and that's okay. But a mastermind needs everybody to be there. I keep ours under 12 members. We've been up to 12. 8's about the optimum one for me right now. But when there are just 3 or 4 of us, it's good. But when there are 8 of us, it's really good.
And so you said that you facilitate them for the folks, and you said you've made some mistakes. If you don't mind talking about, like, what were some of the most memorable mistakes that you were like, you know what, I'm not going to repeat that again?
The mistake of somebody that's not doing the work in between and not calling that. And when it's called and they don't make adjustments to say, this may not be the best place for you right now. I let that drag too long, and it was a drag on the group, and I don't think it was helpful for the person to be allowed to not do the work in between. There's work to do. All of us, yeah.
What is that work in between for folks that don't know?
If we're all entrepreneurs in the groups that I'm in right now, small business and entrepreneurs in a broader sense than that. Are you committed to your business and growing it and developing it versus just who cares? And when a member of the mastermind, a previous one, just didn't care in between, that had an effect on all of us. It's kind of like I don't mean to say this, one rotten apple in a basket will begin to spread that rot to the others in the basket.
No, it's true.
It happens at my house every so often, yes. Had some oranges recently where that happened. So either the group has to say, periodically, we're going to just be honest with each other and say to each other, and or a leader in the group that takes that responsibility to say, this isn't working. Just like a boss has to do that in an organization. A commander has to do that in a unit.
And I know that's incredibly difficult sometimes to do as well, especially the first time you have to do it. And so for folks out there who want to develop a mastermind or get into a mastermind, I definitely would recommend that they should read your book. And then my last question to you is there anything that we didn't talk about or ask you a question on that you're like, you know what, Tim, I really wish you would ask me this question?
You've done well, and I really appreciate you and glad to get to know you over the time we've had here and before. I think, and I hinted at it earlier when you asked me, what are the things? And I said, there are 2 of them. And the first one is you got to pause. And that's really where I think the book is trying to get people to do. And I didn't lay it out as a business manual of here's 1, 2, 3, how to do it. I laid it out as a story, believing that a story is more accessible to people to get what they need to get there. Walk alongside Caleb and Nathan and the others in the group. Walk alongside his wife, Sarah, or his daughter, Sophia. Just observe that and see where you are in that and begin to see. The people that have read the book said, I see myself in there. I was talking to a 78-year-old man the other day that said, Harland, that book was about me years ago. I'm going to a retirement community 2 weeks from now because the people in the retirement community, they're not working anymore, but they see that they've accumulated, we'll call it profit. It's experience, wisdom, a lot of resources in their life. And they get to that place and golf just isn't satisfying them. What purpose do they have now that they have moved into retirement in a retirement community, maybe in the latter years of their life? I'm in my last quarter, my friend said now at age 75. You're in their last quarter there, Harlan. So that's the best quarter, isn't it? But they're in that. So they've called me out there to say, we're reading your book and we're seeing ourselves here. We're not 30, 40-year-olds like the people in the book, but we want to find purpose now that we can put our profit to use better and get that meaning in our life better. So I guess the main thing is that pause and allow that invitation to go deeper.
Those are great points. And I want to go back to the purpose, though, of where do you think that comes from? I had another conversation with another gentleman, and he was saying, well, whatever it is that you want to do when you're a kid, and you had this purpose for it and your passion for it, and then your parents told you, no, get a real job, do this other thing, because that ain't going to work out, ain't going to pay your bills. What is that purpose? How do we find our calling? What do you think that comes from?
Good question. And again, with the 18, 19, 20-year-olds at Stetson, they're in the middle of that right now, too.
And do you think and what you think about it, do you think it changes over time? Because you mentioned you're in the last quarter, and I go back to something that my grandfather used to tell me. He said, life is like a football game, right? Your first quarter, you got to learn, you got to study, you got to work hard. Your second quarter, you're building your foundation, you're learning all you can. Your third quarter, you got to kind of give back a little bit. And you got to mentor some folks. And then your last quarter is all about enjoyment and giving back at the same time. So I was just curious on your thoughts.
I think purpose changes has for me, a constant one has been there for me, which not everybody has, a constant one for decades now. But within that, the purpose has changed as circumstances change, as I move into different levels of leadership. For sure. How do you get in touch with your purpose? One is that, where is your passion? That's a good place to go. Another for me is your values. What's important to you? One of the members of our mastermind, he and his wife have formed a foundation to feed people, and they will feed about 500 families here in Central Florida. They've gathered other volunteers around. They've gathered resources to get the food together. People will line up overnight to be there in the morning when they do it. But their passion is just people are hungry in our community, and we're going to help them get food. Now, he's a very successful entrepreneur as well, but they have said our purpose is bigger than the business I'm in. The business provides a resource along with my intellect and my friends here to reach more people, to care about more people. There's a statement in the book, Tim, that I've gathered for somebody else, but it's three things: profit, people, and purpose. And the people probably is the key to discovering a purpose, I think. So the purpose is not, I get to travel all over the world and spend my time on beaches and play golf and I'm just taking care of me. I think purpose is bigger. The real purpose, the real meaning of life is bigger than that.
And so besides going to the descriptions in this episode, how can people get a hold of you? And we're definitely going to provide a link to the book in the description as well. But other than that, how can people get a hold of you?
Probably best with the website I've set up with the book right now. And it's the same title as the book. So it's profitseekspurpose.com. In there, you can find out about me, the book itself. With it, the book has some resources in the back of it that if you get it, or if you go to that website, join us. Get in touch. I'm going to be meeting with folks that want to once a month in kind of a group coaching session of people that are working on moving from profit to purpose. And it'll be peers working with, you're working on that, I'm working on that. You're struggling with that, I'm struggling on that. So we get to know each other in it. So yeah, run to the website and take a look there and get the book. It's if it's not good for you, use it for whatever you want to use it for. I used to deliver papers and I'd sell papers to people saying, the paper's pretty good and there's some news in there and the comics are kind of nice, I thought. But, you can use it for your dog or your cat or your parakeet or whatever too, or start a fire with. But I think the book has really struck a chord with a lot of people. Hope people will get a copy of it.
And I think the website that you have where people can also connect with each other is even more valuable. The story is valuable too, but that human connection piece that you talk about is also extremely valuable. So thank you for developing this and bringing it to everybody. I know everyone's going to be blessed by it and get a lot of value. So Harland and everybody watching, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Tim, and best to everybody out there that's watching.